All right, look at me. Am I talking? I think I am. I think you can hear me. I look like a disheveled mess because I don't have any of my stuff together. So, I have something different and special for you tonight. It's going to be a pre recorded presentation of me giving this presentation to well, there's no name for it, but Dan Marler, K7REX, has these like weekly Wednesday Zoom sessions that are just kind of cover all sorts of broad topics. So my hair is just terrible. So at least I got this video to back me up. But I'll be here in the chat with the live chat. And every so often, if I have an extra point, I'm going to pause this pre-recorded video. But I really wanted to share the pre-recorded video or the previous live stream that wasn't on YouTube. It's hosted on Vimeo on Dan's channel. But I want, with his permission, I can give it to a broader audience. But we have some special guests on there and a lot of Q&A from a lot of section managers from the ARRL, a lot of the field organizations. So that includes section managers as well as like areas coordinators and even section youth coordinators and things like that. So as well as some special guests that I will leave as a surprise. So I just got back from a vacation and it was just so rejuvenating because we haven't been anywhere for 7 months, and we finally found a way to like just have a chill, safe, COVID safe, relaxing, and like very rejuvenating vacation. So I'm still on vacation, which is why I'm in vacation mode, and I'm not really putting too much effort into YouTube, which is sad. But thanks for yeah. This is a bright room, but it will get dark very soon. I recorded this previous podcast while it was really dark, but I'll be back here. I'll be back here shortly. Thanks for hanging out. A lot of people in the chat from Good Games. I watched most of his stream about Long Island CW team club, and I'm a big proponent of them as well as CW Academy. But I think Long Island CW has really gotten the edge of like getting more CW in the hands of more people, especially young people. Their teaching mentality is way better, I think, for the youth. Like you've heard in his previous in his live stream there in Good Games live stream. So thanks for hanging around. Let's do some recon of what was the homework yesterday. Also, let's say hello to the cats. This is Abby on the floor, and Charlie just left. And no, I don't want to pet you. Shoo, shoo. Her nails are really sharp. Um, Goodness, Uber Geek, you have Hurricane number 2, Internet Visa. Jeez. Yeah, stay safe. Hurricanes are bad news, and hopefully this season like comes to a close pretty soon. So let's get the left desktop up and transition. So you all had homework and you really failed at it because I only got 12 responses. That includes responses from a previous session I had. So the question one was, did you watch the future and growth of amateur radio video from the RSGB M0IOV? And most of you said yes, so that's good. And what do you think? Is ham radio relevant? Only 50% say yes, which is very interesting, which is why I have this presentation. Hopefully the answer after you watch this is like, okay, ham radio can be more relevant, but right now it's probably not so relevant, or I don't know if it's relevant. That's why there's maybes. And would you agree that the integration of ham radio into the comms industry, like 4G, 5G, and IoT, would be a good way to improve the relevancy? Most of you agree, 50% again, and nobody totally doesn't agree. But I'd be interested to hear the points of these naysayers, if you will, and then some explanation to those above. Most of the explanations actually written down are from people who are in the positive, like 5 being the most agreed with that. So I think I don't know if I heard that. So this might be a totally a bad survey. I'm not a good survey maker, but this isn't science. So all right, and so yeah, we had some. I'm not sure the premise of your question. Communications industry is a rabbit. So maybe that was the the one in the middle there. But a lot of people really like getting behind the idea of like there's cross pollination. There's we need to get you can use hams to to flood the communications industry with talented individuals, and it's good for youth as well. So and getting that would improve recognition and relevancy, I think. Or y'all think, rather, not just me. Do you disagree that the fourth industrial revolution, aka the Internet of Things, is wholly reliant on radio? Most of you agree. I'm interested in seeing like why not everyone totally agrees, because I don't see, except for things that are plugged in, like I have a so silly, like how many things I have. I have Hue lights, which are radio controlled, and I have these blinds from IKEA, which are radio controlled. But both of the hubs plug into Ethernet. They don't connect to Wi-Fi, but they do have the option to connect to Wi-Fi. But it's still the Internet of Things, and there's still radios talking to those things, like the light in not this room. This is just a normal light bulb, but like in the hallway, it's an Internet of Things thing. And what are some other ideas? So this is super hard to read. More integration with schools and education to improving the relevancy is the highest rated term, and I think good game. You'll agree with that because you're a teacher. And then improving the state of radio organizations is this one. That's like number 3 on the list, and number 2 is more integrations with emergency and like disaster communications. And then this one is improving the state of local radio clubs. So like these two questions, improving the state of radio organization XYZ, is kind of a jab in the side of like ARRL and our mom and pop brick and mortar like ham radio clubs that are having troubles with being relevant to, I guess, young people. So or in the scope of this question, into keeping ham radio relevant. And so I guess I should have worded this like making those organizations, whether it's like big ones like IRAU level or down to like, I don't know, your Podunk Town ham radio club, to improve their ways. And today's topic is really going to get into the ways of making ham radio visible in the minds and eyes of like the general public. So, and then some good ideas of how to improve ham radio. I like this one. It's rooted in our youth. And you remember as a young person seeing Heathkit, and it broke you into the into ham radio, and we need to figure out a way to get it into a public school system. It's all some really good ideas, better marketing. I love that. More school stuff. A lot of these like big ones I really love. Like people took some time out here, and I won't show you the rest of them because that's just like your name and stuff that I will try to keep private, except for Sam's. Oops. But everyone knows N7PSR. Sorry. All right. So that is the fun homework you all did, and if you can, there's no due date on this, so you can go and do this homework. In fact, I'll post a link in here for last week's homework right here. Thanks for smashing the like button. Oh, dang it, I messed up. There you go. So you can still do that if you watched the last one or not. It doesn't matter. You don't really need to, but I do recommend you watch the video from M0IOV from the RSGB, and I'll post that link again here too. RSGB, the future and growth of amateur radio.
Entity
this is where I got that whole idea of the fourth industrial revolution.
The fourth industrial revolution is completely, totally dependent on radio. Without radio, the fourth industrial revolution will fail, just like the third industrial revolution would have failed without the internet.
Right. So he makes some really, really, really good points. He's no longer with the RSGB. He went back to, I think, Sri Lanka or India to like work on his family life and work life. He's a very busy, big time business guy, and he really knows marketing and really knows like engagement. M0IOV, Kamal Singh is his name, but you won't be able to find him because he, left the AWR. And I don't think he's into ham radio anymore. I tried to track him down, but I just couldn't. I really wanted to pick his brain more. But so if anybody has a link to him, then hit me up on that so we can chat with him, because he's got some really, really good stuff. I think the XYO will get upset if you cast this to the TV. Hopefully not. Maybe the XYO will be like, wow, is that a kid doing ham radio videos? And you're welcome, Anami, or Anami. Okay, without any further ado, let's get to this like thing. I'm gonna hang out in the background. I'm gonna take myself off the screen, and you get to watch me talk in the past about this topic, which is show me ham radio. Don't be shy. Show me ham radio, whatever the topic is. Let's go to it. PowerPoint. Share. All right. So, thanks for having me yet again. I'm Sterling Mann in 0SSE, if you didn't know me already. You'll have to pardon me if I can't make a coherent thought tonight. I have been getting over a migraine that I've been having for a few hours. So fortunately, I've asked a couple of people from the YouTube bunch, which is a bunch of hams who are famous on YouTube for making videos, to help give this presentation, which is titled, Don't Be Shy, Show Me Ham Radio. And this idea actually comes inspired by Josh Nass, Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu, who's here on the road mobile. He's the creator and entrepreneur, if you will, of the Ham Radio Crash Course YouTube channel. And we also have the Ham Radio 2.0 guy, Jason Johnston, KC5HWB. Pardon if I forget the phonetics, because my brain is a scrambled egg right now. So I'll have them pipe up at any time. There's no expectation. This was short notice for them, so I have no expectation for them to have anything prepared, but they are some of the biggest YouTubers in ham radio.
Hey, wait a minute, Sterling. I have to interrupt here. You got after me for giving you a short notice, and you're just doing the same thing to them?
Yeah. Well, they know me to do that, of course. And we love doing short notice things, right? It always works out somehow. So yeah, just you guys pipe in at any time, unmute yourself, and I have a short slide presentation that I made in the middle of a migraine, so I don't have too many slides. What we're going to be talking about is how to share your experience with ham radio, and I think that's important because that's how we get to the general population. The reason why I said it was inspired by Josh Hashnasi is his internet pseudonym, is because he said we need more content creators to get the message out about ham radio. And this has many effects in the ham radio world, mainly just getting ham radio into more people's brains, into their hands, into their eyes, into their ears, through means of content creation. And we'll talk about that. And this all fits in with the youth perspective because, you know, that's where the youth are. Everyone watches YouTube. My 4-year-old niece watches YouTube, and everybody has some sort of social media. A lot of people read blogs and RSS feeds. So there are a lot of ways that you all, and there are no exceptions there, can create content that may inspire the next generation of ham radio operators. So if my spacebar works. What is this? It is engaging youth in ham radio by sharing your experience via content creation. And I have all of these outlets here, and I'll mostly be talking about YouTube, but it can relate to like almost any outlet or venue, being Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, or your personal website, blog, this, that, and the other thing. So why? Like I mentioned, this is where young people are hiding. This is why we are often confused. We think mostly young people are at school. But where are they when they're not at school? Well, they're on the internet. They're on Discord. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitch. They're on these places where we can provide content for and be able to capture an audience, albeit probably a small one, but a non-zero one, which is all that really matters. And the more people that do this, the more people get captured and the more people get drawn in to an interest in the amateur radio world or any kind of electronics, STEM thing, whatever this, what have you. Especially if you do something fascinating like Oscar will probably mention, rocketry or high altitude ballooning. Lots and lots of people watch these things because they're explosive and exciting and they can go wrong at any moment. Or they're successful and people are excited. But even something as simple as a soda activation or a hike to a park or just a CW conversation can really garner some interest and views. So anybody can do this, young or old, interesting, provocative, boring, exciting. Anybody can make videos if you have a camera and an idea. anybody can write blogs if you have a keyboard and a computer and I guess a website or some sort of blog outlet. And we'll talk about little ways to do that. And it takes surprisingly little work to inspire someone. When I first got into YouTube, I really didn't put too much work into editing, which is the hardest part of creating content. Is, you know, you might get something out, but you have to like mesh that all together into a cohesive storyline or thought or expression of what have you. And I really didn't do anything with that, but I still got people viewing and emailing and commenting saying, you know, hey, I like your stuff. And you're young and you got me inspired into ham radio. And then I went to Josh's channel to learn about the crash course. And then I went to ham radio 2.0's channel to learn about what have you, All-Star Link or DMR or whatever he does. And then I went to Dave Kassler's channel to learn the licensing guide. And then I went to K7AGE to learn how to work satellites and PSK31. So there's this thread pulling out of that conversation, where all of the hams of these days are going to YouTube and going to these blogs to learn. It's like that is their Elmer. And maybe that's one of the solutions where we have this problem where we don't have enough mentorship in Elmer's and ham radio. And it might just be because we have not just because of COVID-19, but we're socially distanced in terms that back in the day, you could knock on a ham's door and be invited if they had an antenna to talk about, you know, ham radio, right? But today that seems kind of weird, but turn it on its head, you can put your experiences out there on the internet through YouTube or blogging or whatever, and be able to do very similar things to a much larger audience, right? So what is a content creator? A content creator is anybody who creates content. Well, what is content? Content is creative works that are designed and created for sharing and intellectual consumption, which is just a fancy term for watching, reading, listening, collaborating, etc. So think of things like blogs, videos, tweets, posts on blogs, Facebook, Twitter, comments on articles, even forum postings, which are, you know, long and thought out, emails, newsletters, podcasts. There are so many different venues out there. And YouTube is kind of like the center of it all, I think. There's a lot going on YouTube, and there's a big audience there. And there always is, and I think there always will be for at least quite a while until, you know, the next challenger approaches, which we haven't seen for a long time. Everybody watches YouTube, and here I have listed a huge list of ham radio content channels, 140 or 150, 160 that my friend Kyle, Alpha 0 Zulu, has put together with the help of us. And you might think, wow, that's a lot of hams and there's no room for me, but there is. There's plenty of room for more. Even if somebody's done something already, like even if somebody's done a satellite contact, that doesn't mean you shouldn't. There's still room for your experience on ham radio, because not one person can have everyone as their audience. The audience is spread all over the place. If you create a YouTube video, YouTube captures it into their algorithm, and they'll give it to somebody who may have never seen a YouTube video about ham radio before. So you never know. And some of you might complain, I'm too old to make videos. I don't know how to make videos. Will kids even want to watch my videos? Well, here's some examples of people who are pretty old and do a really great job. K7AGE, like I mentioned before, he's created videos on just basic stuff like how to use a radio, PSK31, satellite communications. KE0OG, Dave Kassler, has this whole show on going through the technician extra general license study guides and actually running classes. WG0AT, the goat hiker, he does soda like crazy. He has goats, and he's one of my favorite YouTubers because he always has an interesting story to tell. And then W6LG, Jim, he is been consistently making videos that are pretty eye-opening. He has a lot of amazing experiences to share, and these links, you can click on them when you get the follow-up to go to their channels, and there are so many more that I'm not mentioning. And of course, we have two other YouTubers here in our audience as well that have been making videos. Like you would think they do it full time, but believe it or not, we all have jobs. And here's a few examples of viral ham videos that you wouldn't expect, like a Morse code conversation, where it's literally just a guy. And let me share the screen. Computer sound. Share. Literally just a guy sitting on a chair doing Morse code from 2011 with 2.2 million views. Just 5 minutes of that. He has a person come back to him. And there's no dialogue at all, but how does this have 2.2 million views? It just does. It's just kind of magic. And then the ISS contact from the radio ham guy.
Hi everyone, Larry, WD08KX.
He made
a little while
contact
ago I
with
was able to make
the International Space Station directly. That's got 460,000 views. And you can hear the actual astronaut. So he has a conversation with that astronaut, which is exciting and amazing. That's why I have so many views. And you might think, well, you know, my video won't go viral. So why should I make videos? Well, they don't have to go viral to be inspiring by people. I make videos that usually never get more than 200 to maybe 1,000 views if I'm lucky. And let me see if make sure Zoom's still here. And but I still, you know, get good information. Josh has probably made the most videos. I don't know if Josh or Ham Radio 2.0, Jason has made the most videos there, but you guys will probably pipe up and tell me. It's almost like a competition, right?
Josh has more.
Right.
He has about 3 times as many as I have.
Right. He did like a daily blog for a whole 2 years, 600 days or something like that.
Yeah, over 600 days.
Which was literally just turning on a camera, talking into it about your daily drive experiences, kids, you name it. It's just a daily vlog, a video log. And then he focused into ham radio and has really like grown a niche out of that and has a pretty substantial number of views. But there's hundreds of other channels that, you know, and it's not about getting views. It's not about yourself. It's about sharing your experiences with others. And the idea here is hopefully you might inspire somebody. And it's also fun. It might be a sub hobby, if that makes sense. I can't get Zoom to come back. Participants. Okay, good. All right. So how do you create video content? So first of all, you need a camera, of course. And you probably already have a camera. You're looking into one right now if you have a webcam or you have a smartphone in your pocket. And those are more than good enough cameras to record videos. And they have more than enough storage to be able to record, you know, something like 10 minutes long about, you know, maybe short little videos that you can put together in a short storyline sort of thing. And editing, putting those videos together is always going to be the hardest part, but it doesn't have to be too hard. There's quite a lot of software out there that is free, simple. Even on your phone, you can make it easy, and just trimming and putting the right videos in the right order and rewatching your video to make sure it's coherent and you're delivering the idea that you want at the end. Can everyone hear me okay? And see my slides? Just checking.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Zoom's like doing weird stuff.
Yeah, it pops up a gray box every now and then, but it went away. You're fine.
Okay. So editing tips. These are just some quick tips. If you're editing, don't make too much work for yourself and try to set limits. Like make a video that's longer than 5 minutes, but less than maybe 10 or 12 minutes. Just because kind of a rule of thumb is for every minute of video, I would say it probably takes 30 minutes to an hour for a really heavily edited video to come out of that. But for quick videos, maybe every minute only takes 10 minutes. So you want to shorten up the video as much as you can and remove all the dead air and ums and ahs, and just kind of like, if there's a camera just pointed at a radio for a long time and nothing's really going on, you might want to skip to where the action is and being and cutting out those pieces. Software, iOS and Android have good native video cutting software that you can use to trim and move around the video clips that you take of individual scenes. Windows has a wide variety of video editing software. I use DaVinci Resolve. It's free, but it's super complicated. It's professional grade. But then you also have Shotcut, which is available on multi-platform because it's open source. Free is in freedom, open source. Much more simplistic and a lot less like crazy little nitty gritty things. So that might be a good place to start out. And of course, there's always learning curves for these things, but that's something I'll get into. And then on Macs and such, there's native software too, Final Cut Pro. I'm not a Mac user, so I'm not well versed in that, but Macs are renowned for creation and creativity. So you would think they are well suited for any kind of video making. Click. So some do's and don'ts. Do tell a story concisely. Don't kind of like bore the viewer and just set a camera to record and then just post that video, because somebody might watch it, but they won't really understand what's going on. You might want to explain what's going on. What I do is at the very beginning of a video, I set the scene and, you know, show people where I am, what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't even really have to explain it, especially if you know who your audience is. If your audience is another ham radio operator, you can just go right into it and, you know, do ham radio things, because you're expected to know, your audience is expected to know kind of what you're up to. There's a thing called jump cuts, which can really help cut up the boring parts, the dead air. You'll see like famous, popular, almost every YouTuber use something where they'll be on this side of the screen and they'll talk for a minute, and then they'll jump over here to talk for a minute, and you'll have a jump cut for like every clause, every thought, and you can mix those up with your face talking and then like a subject or a setting or something like that. And I'll kind of like show you an example here, which is kind of the other thing. Watch other videos for inspiration. The way that I learned to make videos is by watching videos and seeing how other people made them, and record everything. If you're on a ham radio outing and you're thinking, I want to make a video out of this, just do it. Just start recording until you run out of camera space or you run out of battery, and you'll surely be able to make something out of that. And then share it everywhere. If you want to share it in the ham realm, QRZ, Reddit, Facebook groups, clubs, and then YouTube has a natural, it's sorting algorithm, I guess. It's algorithm of sharing and publicizing videos out there as you get a larger audience. And then also, I really want to suggest non-ham places like friends and family, people who you wouldn't expect to watch ham radio, because they might be curious about what you've been up to, you know, in the basement all day long, you know, and getting a video out and showing them. And this is something like my wife, you know, will be surprised about, like how in depth or intrepid, like for example, Mount Pacifica, we went up and everybody did videos on doing a soda summit to a mountain in California, which is actually Jason's background. And people were like, wow, you brought all these radios up to the top of the mountain and you didn't even drive them, and you, after finding out you could have parked up at the top of the summit. So fun little facts like that. And a few don'ts. Don't bore the viewer, like I mentioned. Long bouts of talking like I'm doing right now can be pretty hard to consume, which is just a nice way of saying boring. And avoiding and try to show more of like what you're talking about and demonstrate. Even as simple as writing something down on paper and the camera pointed at it goes a long way, especially if you're doing like an educational video. If you're talking about repeaters, you actually want to draw like a little triangle here and a triangle there and show this line means this way and this line, you know, to demonstrate via pictures rather than, you know, just words. And then don't expect fame and virality. This is, not about becoming a celebrity. It's about, having fun in ham radio and sharing your experiences with other people. And always avoid using copyrighted music because YouTube will like take them down. If you use copyrighted music, they will prevent your video from being shared and suggested to other people out there. But you can always use royalty-free music, which avoids that problem, and there's ways to get around that. And don't give up if you don't get views. Everyone starts out somewhere, and just think of it as a way to chronicle your experiences in a different way. And I am focusing on YouTube here, obviously, because we have YouTubers and such in the house, and I think it's a great way to share your experience, but it's also pretty difficult. And this also lends itself to like blogging and creating newsletters and emails and that sort of thing. And don't lambaste or criticize or be negative or bully or poo-poo on other people's because that creates, negativity and draws away from the positivity of what you're trying to share in the world. We don't want to hear about like what's going on in 7,200 or upper end of 80 meters, because that's kind of the dirty water. And sure, there are a lot of videos that do publish information and stuff about that. But remember, we want to share ham radio in a good light because we want more people to enjoy it and less people to make fun of us and hate on us and stuff like that. So just some advice there. And then other creative outlets, like I mentioned, blogging, writing. Personally, for me at least, because I work full time, writing can be easier than video making. Video making takes quite a while, but if you're writing, a lot of people can naturally just, start typing. And you might start from a blank sheet of paper, and that might be kind of daunting. Everyone gets writer's block, but it's a lot easier when you don't have a camera or a way to share your videos or make videos to just write. And take pictures and put them into even a Word document, which you can publish to a WordPress site or a Facebook page or anything. So other places like Instagram, pictures and captions are worth many words. There's a lot of hams on Instagram, much more hams on Twitter as well, a big ham sphere there. Instagram has gotten popular with hams in the last couple of years or so, and it's very simple. Take a nice picture, write a comment. You can basically make a nice album and put all kinds of information in the description. You can also do short videos and story type videos there. And then TikTok is, kind of big in the news lately because of all of its, they're going to ban it and this and that, and Microsoft's going to buy it, or Oracle now or something. But it's a short form video. It's just like YouTube, except it's only on your phone. And you watch these short videos that are often really funny, or memes that are viral, that are easy to digest and consume. They kind of like, they're candy for the brain. So hams haven't really uptook TikTok yet, but people like Josh are leading the charge there, I think. I've had a few videos on there that had quite a number of views, and a lot of people going like, what is this? And that is where millions and millions of young people reside on the internet. So it would be interesting to see how ham radio breaks into that realm, but it might be a few years before there's really much more take up if it's not banned, which I don't think it will be. So I think that's about all I have. I have another post-session homework, which is really short. Again, I made these slides while with a migraine, so I'll open up the floor. If Jason or Josh, you guys want to add or correct me on anything, please feel free. But otherwise, this is probably one of my shorter presentations, just to kind of get the word out about, it's not hard to make content and create content for the world out there. So, all right.
Okay, before we just start jumping in, I like for people to use the raise the hand method. It's at the bottom of your participants line there. So we don't have a lot of doubling and competing going on here. So if you got a question, raise your hand and we'll go from there.
Oh, there we go. All right, snap back to reality. So that was the whole presentation, and now we're going to go into a Q&A session. and it's pre-recorded again, making sure my mic is on. And the person you saw just there, Dan K7REX, is the host of these videos that these presentations, and most of the people you'll see some of our friends. In fact, I think Josh Ham Radio Crash Course is in here, as well as Jason Ham Radio 2.0. They were kind enough, and I think Good Game. I don't know if you were in there or not. I forget, but we'll see. I invited some of the YouTubers to come in and share their experiences with YouTubing, as well as some other content creators, to like explain how they do their thing and how easy it can be to get your message out there through things like YouTube and blogging and even TikTok. And it's funny that I mentioned like TikTok being banned. Like there is still like it's still up in the air, and as time has passed, like I've stopped using it. A lot of other people have stopped using it just because of the scary, China's in the back door kind of thing. But still, it's a really like important thing to keep in the back of your mind in terms of like how we approach marketing ham radio, because that's where I just about said a bad word for YouTube, but a lot of young people are on there. So stay here, don't go anywhere. As long as it's okay if I take over a little bit of 2MC, the ham radio TV's time, I might. It's only been about 37 minutes so far, so I think he starts at 9 p.m. Central. To listen to these questions, which were really good, and some of my answers, and also some of the discussion from the other YouTubers. I know a lot of you really love this kind of behind the scenes picture of what we do as YouTubers, but like it's really not that hard. It does take a long time to kind of get up and grow through the ranks of YouTube and getting subscribers and getting viewers and all that stuff. But like, really, my advice is to not worry about that. You want to share your experience, just hit record and post to the internet. It's that simple. Don't worry about like viewers and search engine optimization and proper titling. In fact, there's such a really great tightly knit community of ham YouTubers here that are more than willing to like boost your post up, and we've already seen that with people like Oklahoma Ham Radio in the chat, I think, and then Tom Tango Oscar Mike 73, and you all, everyone's kind of in this we're all in it together, so it's been really good. So, still pre-recorded video. This is like a live premiere I just mentioned. It is now owned by a USA company, TikTok. So, that's a good sign. So, maybe I guess more people will use it from the US. I don't know. But it's still going to be busy. And actually, another thing about TikTok is everyone's trying to recreate it with their own platform. So, Instagram has Reels. Facebook has... Facebook owns Instagram. Anyway, Twitter has something... Snapchat is already a thing, but like Snapchat's not really a public video send out to the world kind of thing. It's a chat you send to your friends and closer people. But I don't know. So blah blah blah. I'll stop talking and get back to this Q&A, and I'll be in the chat. See ya. And some parts might be a little awkward. I'll try to skip through.
I can't believe this. A bunch of hams and they don't want to talk.
Yeah, but Sterling mentioned that he have two visitors and they may have something to say before we should ask.
And that's Oscar Resto, by the way. He's the Puerto Rico section manager.
Sterling have two guests with us, and he asked the guests to make comments as well.
Yes. All right. I'll turn it back to Sterling and see if he can drag some stuff out of his guests there. There's some pretty impressive names out there. Most of us have seen their YouTubes and really appreciate their work.
Yeah, I just saw Jason, raise his hand. So if you're still here, I think you just disappeared.
Trying to follow instructions.
Go for it.
Good.
So, yeah, thank you for not putting my name on the list of old YouTubers, Sterling. I appreciate that.
You're quite welcome. I just wanted to, because I've heard that point made, because, technology these days is so hard to adopt, but, I think most ham YouTubers are, this is, if I take a snapshot here, it follows along with the demographic of ham radio YouTubers, and that kind of gives credence to, it's not so hard after all.
No, and Dave Kassler has one of the best channels out there. He's got best educational channels, I should say, for getting new people involved. And educated, licensed, and upgraded licenses and that stuff like that. Yeah, I think I agree with pretty much everything that Sterling said. I've been building my channel for about 5 years, and in the last maybe 2.5 years, I started to focus on actually building it. I started out just kind of haphazardly, and 2.5 years ago, I decided that I actually wanted to try to put a good effort into doing that. And a lot of it is trial and error, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people start out with a smartphone, and there's nothing wrong with that. It certainly is a good way to do it. The authenticity of YouTube is what makes it so popular. One of the things that makes it so popular. It's not a big Hollywood production. It's not some fancy studio that's trying to sell you something. It's just somebody giving you information. So statistics say that there's just over 2 billion eyeballs on YouTube right now. And by the year, I think it's the year 2040, there's going to be another 3.5 billion, they're estimating, people on YouTube. Once they get like, what's that new internet thing they're putting up, Starlink or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
Skylink, Starlink, whatever it is.
Starlink, SpaceX.
Yeah, the SpaceX thing. You know, that's going to give access to more people to do all kinds of different stuff on the internet. So, so YouTube is where people are going for education. I get this question. I get this question and statement. It's kind of all one thought process a lot. And this is the last thing I'll say unless anybody has any questions. Since I've got just over 450 videos, like I said, Josh has probably got about 3 times that. I get a lot of comments on my videos, and especially ever since COVID, I've started to do more brand new information videos for someone who's never heard of ham radio or has heard about it but that doesn't really know what it is, you know. So I've started to do more stuff like that. And I've always told people that they should find a local club, a local ham radio club, once they try to get involved. And I have the privilege of I live in North Texas, about halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. I have the privilege of having a lot of really awesome clubs in Dallas and Fort Worth, and I attend probably 5 or 6 of them regularly, and I've attended probably a dozen of them over the course of being a ham. But I get comments on my videos a lot of times about people saying how they either don't have a club near them, or they've gone to a club near them and started asking questions about, say, DMR or System Fusion, some of the newer stuff, or FT8, and they get shunned because the club is either a bunch of cliquish guys who've been in there for 30 years and don't want anybody new, or they don't think you're a real ham if you're doing DMR or something like that. So YouTube, those types of people are turning to YouTube to get mentoring and education. Good, bad, right, or wrong. I'm not saying I agree with that or disagree with it. I'm just saying this is just it is what it is. I don't have that problem. I tell people if they're in Texas to go find a club, because there's a lot of excellent clubs in my area, but that's not true everywhere. So so I'm glad that that people like Josh and Sterling and Steve is on here too, are reaching out to people who are wanting to learn. There's been a huge push of amateur radio, of people wanting to get amateur radio license ever since April, basically, when the lockdown started in the United States. And there's been a lot of newly licensed hams, a lot of people taking online tests because that's become a thing. And, you know, I think a lot of people are looking to YouTube because they either their clubs are not meeting right now, even the ones that are in areas with good clubs, they're not meeting right now, or people can't find clubs that they feel welcomed at. So I think having someone with knowledge that wants to share that knowledge on YouTube is a very good thing. So that's all. I could talk about this all night because it's kind of my passion, but y'all don't want to listen to me. So
I don't know. I'm enjoying you. Thanks for your comments.
Yeah, I think they do want to listen to you.
Okay, Ed, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was saying that I have my other guest here, Steve, K5ATA, Good Game Ham Radio and Outdoors channel. So hello to him. And I also have comments from my other guest, Josh Nass, and I'll just get to them before I go to the rest, if that's okay with you guys.
You got it.
All right, Josh, you have the floor.
All right, I'm pulling into my driveway, so this is perfectly timed, I think. Yeah, I wanted to throw out an idea, and this is kind of selling the concept of content creation. Hams, by and large, we've done a really good job in publications printed word, and a lot of websites are really helpful. But if you think about the number of eyeballs that Jason mentioned earlier, we have kind of a unique ability to tap into that when it comes to social media at large. And YouTube's obviously a big one, but there's lots of ways that Sterling's already mentioned to get people kind of exposed to ham radio. And one of the things I like to say is, there are a lot of people out there that don't even know they're hams yet. They're already adjacent to the hobby. They likely just need a little push in the right direction. And a lot of that could be just simply you posting on your Facebook story to your family, to the people that follow you, showing them what it is you're up to at the time, what they've seen you working on or whatever. And that alone could start them down the road, and they'll be able to find all that other content that already exists out there. And there really, as already was mentioned, should be more of it. Because if you think about it, the books are great. We've got so many interesting books with ham radio. But as far as online content goes, we really could use more of that, those really intelligent hams that, are in the club. Everybody has the expert for one specific thing. We really need a lot of that content to go online, because in a club situation or one-on-one, again, hams have kind of mastered that world. Working one-on-one, we can transfer that information really easily. But if we took that really intelligent, smart person and got some of what they know online, just think of a blog post with pictures and images and a little bit of how-to splashed in there. That lives online forever, right? Pretty much. The internet is a way to take knowledge and just kind of encapsulate it and keep it there forever. And the ability to kind of move some of that knowledge online will benefit hams in future generations, on and on and on. So I always think about that when I put up a video, is I try to make it interesting and have a cohesive point, like Sterling mentioned before, when you're kind of putting a video together. But I try and think about it as, this could be something that is going to live on for years and years and years. And I try and make it in a way that it can be approachable to multiple levels of expertise, right? I aim for people that are starting out, because I think they have a harder time. So I try and remove jargon and remove acronyms, but also that the content in a lot of cases is what we use in content creation terms is evergreen, meaning that a lot of it is going to be as useful today as it can be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever. And I've actually seen that on my channel. Some of my most active videos as far as views are videos I made 4 and 5 years ago. And they are just as effective in their thought as they are today. And we're talking about videos that are over, 100,000 views, something like that, or more. So, think about it that way. When we're doing one-on-one in a club meeting, how many people are we reaching? 30 people, maybe more. Start moving into Zoom, you get to 40, 50. Move to YouTube, thousands all of a sudden. Given enough time, right, YouTube allows you to just be in front of so many people. So that's kind of just trying to sell the concept of it. It's a great way to not just get more people into ham radio. It's a great way to kind of focus the community effort as far as like how you want ham radio to look, because you are a steward of ham radio when you produce content. And it also will live on for years and years and years as the internet sticks around, which all indication of that it's going to. So those are just some of my thoughts, but I'll let the questions go, or I'll let Steve go next. So thanks again, Sterling, for inviting me out here, and I appreciate the discussion. Good slide.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on board. Great comments too. Okay, and my other guest, K5ATA, Steve of the Good Game Ham Radio Show. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in a unique position. I'm a school teacher by trade, so I'm fortunate enough that in my curriculum, my administration lets me teach ham radio to my STEM classes, or at least some of my STEM classes. And it's one of those, these are all brand new hams, 26 hams last school year, 26 kids got licensed, and 3 staff members. And these are all people that they're dying to find where they fit in the hobby. Yeah, we have a club. We're in a relatively small town, so You know, they can go to a club meeting or whatnot, but they hear about something and the first place they go to look for how to do something is YouTube. And they're not concerned with how polished your video looks. You know, if it's you out there filming a satellite contact, as long as you're telling them how to do it in terms that they can understand, they are happy as a lark. And that's, you know, a lot of people I think get hung up on, oh, my YouTube video has to look, you know, professional. They see some of these guys that have, you know, very professional looking videos and they're like, well, I can't compete with that. And that's not a competition. I think that's, you know, that's kind of the mentality I think that needs to go away. We're all in this thing together, getting new folks and, well, even people who are already in the hobby learning new aspects of it. And so just from having talked to these kids and what they're looking for, you know, don't worry about if you don't have a great intro or whatever. Just, you know, throw out your knowledge out there, because a lot of times, you know, people think, well, you know, I don't know how to talk to New Hampshire. I don't know how to talk to kids, or kids aren't going to listen to me because, you know, I'm over 50, which I'm pushing that right now. But they will. It's just, you take the time, because everybody in this Zoom call has knowledge that somebody wants to know. And, you know, that I can't answer all the questions for these kids. I guess I'm kind of the gatekeeper. I get them into it and I can answer some of their questions, but the experts are all the other hams that are out there. So we definitely don't have enough content creators. So all that to say, you know, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Throw it out there. You know, if you need some help on how to get videos on YouTube, you know, I know most of the YouTubers out there are more than happy to help you get that started. So, you know, this just get started is the key thing there.
Right on. Thanks. And you know, there it is, straight from the horse's mouth about, you know, teaching as a teacher. These kids are thriving on YouTube. Jason, you go ahead.
One other thing that I just thought of, and you know, I want other people to talk too, but don't be scared by the term content creator. It's something that's kind of a buzzword we use in YouTube and on social media these days. If you've ever written or presented something that maybe you wrote or maybe you didn't write, if you ever done that at a ham fest before, you're a content creator. That's all a YouTube video is. If you're like, hey, you know, because I've gone to forums at ham fests for DMR, Fusion, how to use N1MM, how to use FT8, the cool features of a brand new HF radio that just came out, whatever. So if you've ever done anything like that, ARRL has all kinds of stuff, forums all over Dayton Hamvention and Orlando Hamcation. If you've ever put together a forum or a tech talk and presented it to someone, then that's content. That's content creation right there. And that's all a YouTube video really needs to be. So don't let that term scare you. Some people are like, I don't know if I'm a creator. Well, it's kind of a loose term. Anyway.
Right. Yeah, good point. If anybody attended the virtual Ham Expo or has seen the YouTube's Ham Fest or any of these online, I mean, right now we're creating content as we speak. Mm-hmm. People are going. Dan's going to put this video together. People are going to watch it. People are going to read the slides and do my little homework thing, and it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a hard, convoluted, you know, movie making process. So, thankfully, we don't have to deal with tape, especially. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll take comments from the Peanut Gallery, if you will. Ed, KW4GF, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay,
good. All right, the first question I have, and then I want to make a sort of a comment about an experience I had with, I think, Sterling, a young ham that you'll know, because he's a very big proponent of your blog and all your stuff. You might even know him. But the question I have is, are there any YouTube channels for elementary school kids from, let's say, 3rd or 4th grade up to like maybe even a middle school, 6th or 7th? And just comment, I'm also a 40-year retired elementary school teacher myself. So before I start doing some content there, I wanted to see if there were any channels specifically that adapted, and again, our teacher will know what I'm talking about, adapt the content to the level of the child rather than try to teach the child the stuff that we already have, which is very difficult. Craig Buck's book comes really close to getting it where it needs to be, but I didn't know if there were video channels that were devoted to those kids.
Not really, just because of the whole COPA thing, the Child Online Protection Act. YouTube is really strict about that sort of thing.
I don't think you know what I'm talking here.
Okay.
I'm talking about instruction.
Well, if it's targeted towards kids, it's a ambiguous area.
I know where you're going. It's as far as to tailor it to a level that a kid would understand. You have to be. It's a slippery slope on YouTube. Yeah. We have to check a little box when we're posting every video that says this video is not targeted towards children.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And that's I would love to target.
Now I see what you're saying.
A huge chunk of my videos towards kids. If I do that, they're gonna yank me out of YouTube in a heartbeat. So
I wonder if there's a way to do that with connections with SchoolTube and connecting with a teacher situation, especially if you're a certified teacher already.
There's a thing called YouTube Kids. I think it's just youtubekids.com or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've not researched it at all. Don't know what's out there. But as I understand it, it's YouTube for specifically children under the age of 15.
Okay, and maybe we'll go that way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The story I want to tell, and Sterling will like this, because I think, Sterling, you write a blog. And I think I saw a link to that blog on Julie Pepitone's article, The Uncertain Future of Ham Radio, which all of you should read. I got it from Wayne Rash, W4HCR, who is a writer of Forbes magazine. And that article is powerful. Well, anyway, Sterling, you put something in your blog I read, and let me tell you all a story, and you could probably do this as you talk about content. One day, I'm up on the Wisconsin, and USS Wisconsin, and we had a special event. And I'm sitting on 20 meters, and I am pulling pileups like crazy. Now, all of a sudden, I hear a call that I'm very much familiar with, and some of you may have heard of him. W4IPC is Connor Black. And Connor is a prototypical young ham radio operator. And he will push the bar. And that's what I love about Connor. And I also can be irritated with Connor too. He just graduated high school and he's going to tech. So I'm really busy with listening for these pileups, trying to get them. And all of a sudden I hear W4IPC stroke KP4. I'm like, now you got to understand, Connor, I couldn't see. He wasn't there. And I'm saying to myself, Connor's in Puerto Rico? Huh? And I just ignored it for a moment. Next thing I hear, W4IPC stroke KP4. Finally, I took it. Well, Connor was in a room next to where I was, 4 feet away, running remote off his telephone to a station in Puerto Rico. And I was kind of miffed. I'll have to tell you, I was kind of miffed. I'm handling all this stuff, and there's Connor punking me from next door. Then I read Sterling's blog. What's really pushing kids today? Remote ham radio. So I'm a believer. My suggestion to all of you, you want to create content? Do that. Get a kid up on remote somewhere in the area you're doing a special event and remote them somewhere else in the world and have that operator who's familiar with that kid taking that call and watch his face because he knows the kid is somewhere around there maybe or doesn't even know the kid's there. That would be priceless. And to show how the kid used remote hamming. So Sterling, you made me a believer. And I hope you all enjoyed that story about Connor, because that's a typical Connor story. And Connor learned under the auspices of a club I am a member of, which is the K4AMG Memorial Radio Club that was started by Dick Siff, W4BUE here in southeastern Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that is Connor in a nutshell. That he is notorious for shenanigans like that. But yeah, he also posts. He regularly streams his operations remotely on Twitch, which I briefly mentioned, which is rather than, I mean, YouTube does live presentations, but Twitch is mostly for like gaming. And you could argue that DXing and contesting is, and having waterfalls and all of these cool things on screen is pretty close to gaming. And Ray W2RE, who runs Remote Ham Radio, also does like almost a daily live stream of that
On
too.
the VP.
He has like dozens of kids running around on Remote Ham Radio doing all those things, pulling shenanigans and running DX pileups like crazy over their phone. So yeah, really good point there. And the K4AMG Club, I keep hearing them come up, and I mean to like do more research and talk more about them, because they seem like they're a really good role model club for a lot of reasons.
I'll give you an example of a family that was trained by K4MG was the Leah children.
Mm.
All of them that you
what
see
I was
in
gonna
QST,
mention.
that's where they have their roots with here in southeastern Virginia.
Yeah.
Dick Siff is a brilliant guy, and he's up there with us generationally. And there's Dwayne Etwine also, KJ4YKG, and they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Definitely. Another club, or I guess a whole section I wanted to mention in terms of content creation, is the Eastern Pennsylvania ARRL section. I don't know if we have anybody here from there, but they do a podcast. I don't know if they've done one recently. I haven't seen it come by, but it's one of the best podcasts. I would argue it's even better than some of the podcasts that ARRL staff puts out, like On the Air and Eclectic Tech and stuff. Just kind of going through a newsletter type thing, but over a podcast thing. So that's a really good, another really good role model club. So, all right. Thanks for those comments. It's give me a few ideas I'm going to follow up on. Next up is Wes, WJB. Go ahead.
I'm glad I waited to put my hand up because you guys teed up for me just perfectly. So Ed was asking about educational content for elementary kids. So about a month ago, my daughter and I have launched a channel on YouTube specifically for that. It's called Ham Radio with Emma. And if it's okay, I can share the link to it in the chat. You were, okay, I saw a thumbs up from Sterling. And you're right about the tricky bit about that is that there is a YouTube Kids, and when you flip that channel, that setting on, like we did for our channel, and it turns off a lot of your feedback channels. So like you don't get any comments on your videos. You can't. It doesn't show any personalized ads. But you know, I look at it and go, that's what I'm willing to, the price I'm willing to pay to get content out there. So, you know, but I just kind of wanted to share that. She's excited about it. I'm excited about it. We're a little bit distracted right now. We just picked up a ham radio homeschool group. So
yeah,
that's interfering with the editing time. That would probably be my thing about doing YouTube content is that, to echo what Sterling said, is that the editing process is the thing that takes the longest, and that's probably the biggest. My challenge is keeping up with getting videos out there in a timely manner, and you know, and also having a life. You know, so there's been times where finding the right video clip and finding the right content it has been taking a while, and so. But my goal is to get through all of the topics on the technician's test, probably by, my goal is kind of like Hamvention next year. So we've got about 7 videos out there right now, and kind of working on more basically. So that's kind of wanted to talk about that. I'll throw the link in there if you guys are interested.
For sure. That's awesome.
Post the link.
I got a quick comment if I can add that, Sterling.
Sure, go for it.
I was just going to say, since I have edited a lot of videos, I will tell you that it gets better, but it gets better through doing. You really have to build some muscle memory for editing. And what you'll find is you'll start to generate, whether you look up YouTube videos that help this, and there are a ton, you develop what's called a workflow. And once you define a workflow, and it sounds more complicated than it is, it's just a methodical way that you parse through and edit the videos together. And as you start out, you get a simple workflow, and then you get more nuanced as time goes on. But really, it's just doing it. So the fact that you're even out there making the effort and striving to do something with content creation is great. So kudos to you. Congratulations.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats. I already subscribed, so I look forward to the videos. All right. Sorry I left you. You're the last hand raised, and sorry I left you for so long. K8ZT, you are one of the big content creators in the written world and newsletter world and the website and blogging world. So take it away. You're still muted.
Yeah, my wife keeps telling me to mute her so she doesn't hear it. Just to follow up on that last comment, one of the things I work a lot directly with teachers, and there's a hesitancy to use YouTube videos in the classroom. So I've provided a link from one of my previous coworkers, Eric, it's on how to safely play videos in the classroom. And I use this technique a lot because there's a lot of good content on YouTube, but there's also some content that's not so great. So one of the things I spend a lot of time doing is finding YouTube videos from great creators like Josh and other people, and then using different methods to provide them to my students or to my teachers, embedding them in slideshows, choosing the point at start and stop so that the kids can watch specific times of some of the videos, and taking small snippets. Sometimes they're a little bit long for them. So I've included that link from Eric's website on some tricks for using YouTube's in safe fashions. The other thing about content creation is, especially with the plethora of Zoom type meetings going on right now, if you're interested in having someone create some content and they're not they're not interested in doing that, ask them to do a presentation and then record it. A lot of people who are very good speakers feel uncomfortable about recording themselves in a video, but if you ask them to do a presentation for your local club or for your local group and then record it, you can get quite often a lot of good information that way. So it takes the stress out of thinking that they have to go through some great production process. Just ask them to do a presentation and let you record it. So that's just my comment. Oh, by the way, just one last thing, my website, I put a link in there for the kids radio zone. There's also a teachers radio zone, and my own website at k8zt.com.
Cool. Cool. Thank you for that. There's a lot of really good resources on your website that I keep going back to. So thanks. Wes, you had some follow-up?
Yeah, I was just going to just briefly on so there is for YouTube, there is a YouTube Kids app, like a separate app that you can download for kids, and it kind of is the content that has been vetted, that's on there has all been vetted to be kids safe, basically. So you won't see a lot of, anybody who hasn't checked that box, you won't see any of their content on there. One thing I have discovered though is that our content isn't out there yet, and I haven't figured that one out. I've been trying to contact YouTube technical support, but it seems like with YouTube, if you're not like have thousands of viewers, they tend to ignore you a little bit. So I'm still working on that, getting our content out there. I think what happens is there might be even a person that comes by and views the videos and kind of like manually puts them on YouTube Kids just to make sure that the checkbox is correct. So that's just my 2 cents.
Okay. And Steve.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, everybody, first of all, I'm going to check out your channel, Wes, and try to incorporate some of this as you're getting that stuff out there, because that's definitely something that I can kind of steer my kids toward. But another thing that I've noticed has kind of fallen away, that when I first started teaching ham radio to kids in school, gosh, it's been 15, 18 years ago in Texas, you could easily get fiction for, that was ham radio. Cynthia Wall has a series of books that she had out, and that was a great way to get, your younger, 4th, 5th, 6th grade kids interested in it. and it's something that has kind of fallen away. So maybe, you know, some people, maybe your gift, so to speak, is not necessarily putting out YouTube videos. Maybe you're a writer at heart. You know, my wife is actually writing some ham radio fiction. She's a licensed ham, as is my daughter. And, you know, I was telling her about it a few weeks ago, and she's actually got her first ham radio fiction piece, you know, ready for me to kind of look at and go. So if that's your kind of thing, don't think just because it's fiction, nobody's going to use it, because that's what teachers use to get kids interested in stuff. You know, if you can put a good story to it, put it out there, and I can put it on a bookshelf. Even teaching a STEM class, I still have a bookshelf. You know, and I that's what I use. I've got, you know, kids are interested in different things. I throw them a piece of fiction to kind of help that fire get going a little bit. So, you know, don't think that, you know, content creation is more than just videos and all the modern apps. You know, just a good old book, you know, will help get kids going.
Mm-hmm. I've been really thinking about writing a book because I have a lot of big thoughts I want to put down on paper, and it seems like something you could just sit down and do a piece at a time and be able to get a lot onto paper. So it's a good idea. Okay, I see no more hands raised. I did want to mention, and usually I try to end with a call to action along with the homework.
Barry was raising his hand. He just didn't have it in the thing.
I see. He's muted. Barry, you're muted. You're talking, but you're muted.
Here we go. How much time do you put into writing a script, or do you bother to write a script when you do videos?
I almost never write a script, but that could be a byproduct of doing it for over 10 years. I've been on YouTube a really long time. I started out small, and when I would screw up, I would just edit those portions out, like Sterling said. With that said, it depends on what the content of the video is. If it's a highly detailed video, it can take me multiple hours to do the editing, and definitely however long it takes to capture it. My live streams that I do every week, and I believe we didn't talk too much about live streams. I live stream every Saturday for about an hour, and it's just 1 hour. I don't have to do any editing. It is done when I click end, and it gets uploaded to YouTube, and it stays there. As far as the show prep for that, I spend hours in show prep, just like you would do in a club. If you were to do a talk, how much long it takes you to prepare for that is about how long it takes me to prepare. And but the great news is that when I go live, it stays on YouTube. It's already there for me. I don't have to do anything else with it. It's very easy. So live is a great option if you can do that too.
I almost never do a script either. There are occasions where I do, where it's almost like a news presentation. Some of my older videos are heavily scripted, where I'm narrating kind of a news presentation, but most of them I just kind of on this, you know, on a dime, just have an inspiration to like, I got this new toy, I'm going to do a video about it, and just kind of turn on the camera and just start talking to it. Some videos I do what you call storyboarding, where I have an idea kind of bubbling up, and I just kind of write down an outline of what I want to put on the video. So that gives me an idea of what I need to capture. One example I'll post in the chat is a video of a total solar eclipse I made. It doesn't have very many views, but it's been one of my favorite videos that I've made, because it's something where I like worked hard. We had this event, the solar eclipse QSO party that I wanted to share, and a lot of other fun things going around it. So I beforehand made a storyboard, made an outline of like scenes I wanted to put in, and making sure I had the right angles and all this and that. So I put a lot of effort into that. But some of my biggest videos have just been, you know, off the cuff, like reviews and how-tos and tutorials that just, you know, just kind of fall out of my mouth, so to speak, and I use the editing to actually massage the story out of it. A lot of things I say don't even go into the video, and a lot of us YouTubers will attest to that. Like, you'll have probably an hour of footage, and at the end of the, you know, you got to get that down to 10 minutes or something like that. So you can imagine a lot has to go if you want to get it down to a certain point.
And a lot of times I'll have a list of talking points instead. Like I had Ray Novak on my stream last week. I didn't have a script obviously for that because I wasn't sure what Ray was going to say. So instead, I just had, kind of talking points, questions I wanted to make sure I asked him about the new radio that's coming out and the 705 and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily a script, but it does still take some prep work. You've got to know up front kind of what you're going to go with otherwise you just sit there in front of the camera on a live stream for a while and look goofy.
I don't ever script mine, and I've told myself I never will. As far as the recorded and uploaded videos go, the non-live streams, I've had people come by on mine. I'll cut out the dead air parts like Sterling was talking about. I've had people, but if I make a mistake with something, I like plugging in new radio. My channel is basically built out of showing new radios and how to do programming and that kind of thing. It's a product review channel more than anything else, but I'll plug it in and I'll get an error on the Windows screen about something, or I'll try to open the software and it'll do something it's not supposed to do or something and I leave all that stuff in there. And about most people come along and say, hey, thanks for showing that. I had the same error. I didn't know how to get past it. About 1 out of every 10 of those will come along and say, man, you should script this and cut all that fluff out of there. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. This is a real world channel with real world problems that I run into while unboxing this video and trying to program it. And if I run into the problem, then you're probably going to do it, or at least someone out there is going to do it also. So I leave all that stuff in there. I just cut out all the stuff where I'm talking to myself and calling myself an idiot. I don't leave that in there.
Yeah, I think that's a good point is, if people are going to hit that same spot, you want to make sure they see, okay, well, other people have hit this spot. Don't otherwise they're more inclined to kind of give up on it. Oh, well, it's just a me thing. And if they see that, you left it in there, that's kudos to you for that, because people need to see that other people struggle through that stuff too. It's not, YouTube has a tendency to make things look perfect and magical if you want them to.
Okay, we have a good game there, just staring us in the face. Nope, Abby, get out of here. I need to click buttons. That was, I think, all of it. There was some more like after discussion, just kind of on the same topic, but you've heard it from all of the horse's mouth. It's not so hard. Chaz in the chat, I was just typing around. It's interesting that you say you spend most of your time off work wandering around your property. That actually sounds like a pretty dope, way to spend your time. That sounds like kind of relaxing and meditative almost. But there's an opportunity there. You could use that time to bring a camera and, just say what you're thinking, while you're walking your dog, or you don't have to like look at the camera. Just have it like out here, and maybe there's somebody. The thing is about YouTube, just somebody will. Going on with my hair, somebody will watch it. It doesn't matter what you do, somebody will watch it, and if you keep doing it, more people will watch it, and it just grows and grows and grows. So all right, I've kept you guys here for way too long tonight, and I want you to enjoy your Wednesday evening. Right now the 2MC net is going on the Ham Radio TV channel, and I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Especially shout out for those hanging out in the chat too for such a long time tonight. The next session will not be as long, probably only 45 minutes or so, give or take, but I appreciate it. Measuring out distance for your beverage. There you go. Make a beverage antenna video. In fact, we're doing a big antenna video session on one of our Mondays. It'll be a whole theme of antenna making, and if you make a video, we'll put you in there and it'll be fun. So all right, I'm done here. I need to sit down and like decompress and get ready to go camping tomorrow, because we want to do that. It's another safe COVID approved thing to do. So I'm going to go to Han State Park. I'm going to bring a ham radio and see if I can make some POTA contacts, as well as just kind of chill out. So maybe I'll do a video on that. Thank you guys and girls and ladies and gentlemen and boys and everyone in between. And pets. And pets. Like animals?
Yes.
I guess, because my cat back there is watching us, so technically he is a part of the video and is listening. And Oklahoma Ham Radio. Actually, I really want to see your Loop on Ground video. because I really want to put a loop on ground in my backyard. Super bad. And get in touch with the YouTubers. We might want to put you in the whole soup of ham antenna videos coming up soon. So, all right, that's it. 73. Thanks for watching, and catch you next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, and talking more about youth and ham radio. Bye.